the Pennsylvania race, you have Fetterman, who basically is the new Joe Biden when it comes to being locked in your basement and having the media do your job for you. I just think that the media is so biased, and of course they're going to make Oz look as terrible as possible.
Oz is doing that on his own.
The media. No, but the media, we know the media is in the bag for the left. We know this by study after study. But the most recent example that I want to get your take on is this media bias about the definition of a recession. So Brian Deese, who is Joe Biden's economic council chair in 2008, said publicly that the technical definition of a recession is 2 negative quarters of economic activity. Flash forward to 2022, and he goes in the White House podium and says, no, economists say that it is not the technical literally the exact opposite of what he said in 2008. So it's gaslighting, and yet you have the Washington Post and other major media outlets who are still asking, are we in a recession? The answer is yes, we were in a recession. Are we in a recession for Q3? We don't know. But is the United States in a recession as of Q2? By every definition that has been used for so long, yes, America is in a recession. So why do they gaslight and tell people they're stupid? Essentially, why do they think that we don't know what they're doing?
Well, let me just, there's always lots of impact. Let me just make a comment. I reject the Biden-Fetterman comparison because Fetterman is a very skilled politician and he's been running great ads and very opportune tweets. So, and he's in the basement because he doesn't want to be. I think Biden was in the basement because he wanted to be. So I don't think it's a valid comparison. But to answer your question, first of all, anytime, this is politics 101, anytime you get hung up on the nomenclature when you're debating what something should be called, that's not a good sign that you're very secure about your position. So, just so there's some gratuitous advice to the Biden folks. And first of all, this is not just Deese's definition. This has been like the classic economics textbook definition of a recession is 2 quarters of negative growth. The only caveat I will throw in is that, yes, this is a different type of economy. We've never had a jobless rate so low when inflation has been so high. Okay. There are anomalous conditions in this economy which give, the Paul Krugmans of the world fodder to write columns and saying, well, yes, growth has slowed, but are we technically in a recession? You can make arguments either way. But overall, I think it's really silly to get caught up in the weeds over what something is called. I think the Biden administration, again, and I've said this repeatedly, they need to focus on policy and start doing things that they think are going to help the American people. Because, again, and this is a perfect segue to my question, because if people feel that the Democrats are doing something, and that's why I think this week is going to be more impactful than you believe, because I think it's going to say, look, this is a Republican Party which doesn't stand for anything, which hasn't really proposed anything on a national level other than obstruction, and a rhino means that you don't buy into the big lie. So, you haven't been able to come up with one national policy that the Republican Party is pushing. And so the Democrats can win by saying
school choice, tax cuts,
but
limited government, strong defense, stand up to Iran.
School choice is like lower taxes. That's just sort of you can, and lower spending. It's easy to rail against that stuff in the abstract, but I'm talking about fresh policies that are going to help people right now deal with the economy. There and inflation, and there aren't any. But anyway, the point is that I think that the Dems, if they can focus on what they're doing, we're getting stuff done. They're all about obstruction and authoritarianism. That's their only chance, because as you say, it's all about changing the subject. If they can avoid not having to change the subject and actually have people focus on some of the things they're doing, it would help.